What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Dunk Talk Podcast, episode 47 today. Got a really special guest. So, my name is Dylan Haugen, and here with Hunter and Kilganon today. So, Hunter, introduce yourself, then we'll get to our guest.
Hey guys, I'm a 6'1" dunker from Wisconsin. And like you said, we have a very, very special guest, Jordan Kilganon. So, Jordan, if you want to introduce yourself, and then we'll get started.
Uh, my name is Jordan Kilganon. I'm a professional basketball dunker, 6'1", point 0.5 specifically. And yeah, that's all.
Yeah, so obviously, ton to go through, but we'll just start off with kind of just the beginning. So, just tell us about kind of like what sports you played as a kid and just your athletic background in general.
Sure. So when I was a kid, I liked to play every sport my parents put me in everything, which is nice. So high school, I played basketball, volleyball, did volleyball co-ed, did softball, also did baseball growing up as a kid. Uh, Played a bit of soccer, was terrible at soccer though. So when I did track, all the things I did in track was javelin, which was my best thing. Did high jump, was terrible in. Long jump, terrible in. 100 meters, terrible in. 400 meters, second last place. And then what other sports did I do? Badminton. Went for fun, played a bunch like ping pong and stuff like that. And I think that's mostly it. But basketball and volleyball were definitely my main things.
Yeah, definitely. So, then what got you into just like dunking?
So first thing first, I was always into jumping and dunking since like a very young age. I was named after Michael Jordan. So being named after somebody like that and watching them jump and like the, literal logo is like the jump man. So there's videos of me dunking at 1 years old without even jumping because my dad had like a hoop that was low enough and had me dunking on it, which is really funny. And so he kind of enabled me to like be able to do that my whole life. I dunked at Fisher Price nets that were like, you know, 3 feet tall, 4 feet tall, whatever, my whole life. But then the big switch, so I dunked a lot, like already, like, just like on very low rims my whole life. But when I went super aggressive for it was when I saw that pro dunking was a thing, right? Guys like T-Dub, Air there, Justin Darlington, all of these guys. And I was like, oh, you don't have to play basketball and like just to do the dunking part. So at that point is kind of when it switched and I started dunking on low rims basically every single day for 3, 4 hours a day. I met up with a friend of mine, Pat Kingsley, who I saw was from my city, and he dunked on low rims all the time too. And he's the one that introduced me to um, all these people online. And yeah, then I would be doing dunk sessions with him, and that started the whole thing. I got super obsessed at that point. I used to be more of a three-point shooter in high school, like in grade 9. And then as it went to grade 10, 11, and 12, I just never shot a three-pointer because I almost like lost it because I was just dunking all the time instead. So I became more of a slasher because I got faster, I could jump a little bit higher. So it even changed my gameplay, which is funny.
So, what age gap was that between that you really started hindering down on low rimming, and like how long did that take up until your first dunk?
When I went super aggressive was probably around um, like 14. And my first dunk was around was at 16. I will say though, looking back, my first one-hand dunk, or sorry, my first dunk, it was like a lane two-hander. Like I caught probably the bottom side of the ball with my fingertips and just like squeezed it in. Looking back, I'm sure that rim was just like not 10 feet. But after that, it probably took another couple months for me to get it. So I think I was like late 16 or something.
Yeah, for sure. So, what was kind of like your progress throughout the rest of high school with dunking?
Yeah, so it started off, my first time I ever touched a rim was grade 9. And I remember I was super pumped about that. And then grade 10, I went to where I can like grab the rim, I could just like get both my fingertips and just like hold on to it. And then grade 11, that's when I got my first dunk already. So I was able to like just barely dunk. Grade 12, again, I could like just barely dunk. I could do like one-handers and two-handers pretty much. Actually, I was able to do like a reverse two hands at that point too. Um, and that's pretty much it. And then all the progress kind of came after that when I stopped playing like every other sport and I was zoned in on only dunking.
Yeah, so I know you said you kind of like really went all in on low rimming at one point, but what would you say was kind of like the moment that you went just all in on dunking in general and stopped doing everything else?
Yeah, so that was right after high school. I remember after I finished my last basketball game, so I think that was our last sport basically. I was super upset. I was like, what is life now? Like high school, when you're in high school, you think like it's everything. You think it's your whole life. You think there's no good life after high school, you know? And so I don't know. I was just like, what do I do? What do I pick? And it felt silly, but I was like, there's one thing I love more than anything in the world by like far. And that was dunking. So I just really want to be like, all right, let's just see what happens if I only do dunking. So after high school was done, went all in, and yeah, turned out a lot better than I thought.
Yeah, so when did you kind of hit some of like those first trick dunks, like, windmills, East Bays, stuff like that?
Um, what year was that? I wouldn't doubt if it was like because the progress was pretty fast when I dropped every other sport. I think I was like, I played so many sports so often as a kid, so many hours of running, so many hours like endurance type stuff. So I think a lot of my progress came from like just dropping all that endurance and all that running all the time. Um, also probably focused on a bit more protein for once in my life too. But yeah, I would say probably a year or two after high school, finally started doing windmills between the legs. Yeah, yeah.
Was there any lifting up into this point, or was this solely just jumping basically every single day? Like, was there any structured training, or were you just kind of doing stuff on your own?
Uh, so all throughout high school, like I said, was all like pretty much jumping. Although I can't fully say that. My dad's a personal trainer, right? So I've had access to training and knowing how to lift, and I would do lifts at like some points, like kind of random times. It just wasn't like super, a priority and doing it all the time. So I have lifted little bits here and there. But when I took it a lot more serious was definitely in college when I got into college. Maybe second year, I think, college. So yeah, second year after high school.
Yeah. So when did you start like training just like specifically for dunking, kind of like structured program and all that?
I mean, uh, the way I did it was for a long time was just because you can't really say that just jumping all the time is not like a structured program, you know, because the way I did it for a while was I would just experiment it and I would just jump every single day. And then let's say for like 3 days straight, and then I would rest 2 days, and then I would jump again. I was like, oh, I'm jumping better now. Feels better. So I tried 5 days. I tried 7 days straight. I tried a month straight, and then just taking like 3 rest days off, and then jumping. And I was like, that one didn't work. That was too much, So I kept doing like kind of a week on or 5 days on, a couple rest days, and then I would be j jumping like a new highs kind of thing. Um, Everything after that was kind of just based off like my own research. Don't get me wrong, I've done like little bits of um like what's called jump souls and like some other random programs like that when I was younger, but there was nothing as structured as something like what I'm doing now, like jump master. But it was basically just getting strong in the weight room, getting my squat up, getting my deadlift up, second year high school or second year college kind of thing. And then when doing more closer to what I'm doing now, probably more like third or fourth year is when it was like a bit more structured. But the whole thing has been like a big learning process from like then until now. So
Yeah, definitely. I know you said you kind of made like a ton of progress, especially like after high school. So what would you say was kind of like the first dunk that you hit that was like really different, like at the time?
what do you mean by different? Like, do you mean like I don't know,
Just like a
like
dunk that
pro
like
level kind
sets
of
you
thing?
apart. Yeah, like pro level, sure.
I guess that would have to be 720. 720 is a good one to pick just because, I was a kid from Sudbury who nobody was giving a chance to. I was posting dunks online and that's that. And then Nils from Hoop Mixtape flew me out to LA and he's like, "Oh, you're gonna kill a 720, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." I had never done anything like that before. And I did it on my first try and absolutely destroyed it. It's still my best 720. And, you know, at the time, that was probably the greatest dunk of all time, and I just did that. And that was like, had I even really done much of like a 360 East Bay even at the time? Oh yeah, I know I have. That the dunk before that, that was my best, was probably a 360 East Bay or something like that. That's not like a double up. So yeah, that was definitely like a big one. It was like, oh my goodness, like I can do this for real. Yeah.
What age was this at when you were starting to do dunks like this and just other different dunks?
Um, just so you know, I'm terrible at like timelines, like super terrible. I wish Corey was here, I could just ask him. But whatever year that 720 was, whenever I got flown up by Who Mixtape. So that would have been the fourth year. I'm just gonna guess like 22,
Yeah, nice.
something like that.
So no, I know you kind of said you were like weren't getting a ton of chances and stuff, but what was kind of like the first event you did, or like the first few events you did, and what were those kind of like for you?
Yeah. So the first event that I did was St. Mary's College, and it was the first time where I like got paid to do something and got flown to go there, and then they got me food. Like I remember just being on the plane and being like, "This is so crazy! Like I'm being flown out somewhere because of dunking. Like this is the most insane thing ever." And they're paying me, it's a low amount, but like still, I was so pumped. And I remember they like brought me like this uh chicken fried rice stuff. I was like, "What? They're feeding me too? This is crazy!" I was so mind blown. And then we went and did the dunk show, and the crowd was really liking me a lot. And I remember being like, "Sheesh!" Like I'm dunking with other pros, and like I'm standing out right now. And I felt like maybe I can really do this. Maybe I can really do this for a living. It was the coolest feeling ever. So yeah.
Yeah. What have been kind of some of your favorite events or contests since then?
Hmm. I mean, Dunk League was really cool, for sure. Um, Especially since I pretty much went through everything except for the how high and the what's it called, the dunk horse. I didn't miss like a single dunk. It was first shot and everything. I just felt like I was really like locked in, in terms of like my accuracy and everything, um, and my focus, which is nice. All Star was obviously very cool. I went in there, did my job, and absolutely killed it, which changed my life really. Um, Same thing with the video with Gary Payton, another video that changed my life for the better, like big time. It's still the NBA's most viewed video ever on any platform, which is on Facebook. Um, Ghetto Games is always very cool, always an amazing event. And recently, these China events too have been like a lot of fun and really cool. I'm trying to think what else was a big standout one. Yeah, I guess those are the main ones, but I just love dunking at all of these events. They're so fun. And
How would
I'll
you
say dunk
say?
camp too. Dunk camp's always the best time ever. So,
Yeah, that leads into what we were just gonna say. So how has the dunk camp kind of just been for you, like since it started till now, and what have been some like your favorite moments?
man, dunk camp is like something I wish existed when I was younger. And just its existence to me makes the world a better place. You know, like all these dunk nerds get to go there. And the amount of people that say they've had like the best moment of their life there is a lot. It's like a lot. And even the people who don't say that, they have like a moment that they can remember for the rest of their lives, for the rest of their lives. They'll have like their first dunk ever, their first windmill ever, and by like a pro dunker, like someone they look up to, like maybe give them a lob. I don't know, it's just like such a cool environment. And it just creates memories that people get to have forever. So I'm just very happy it exists at all. And for me, I'm trying to think of specific moments. Honestly, just the first dunk camp because I was so blown away by this feeling of being around that type of crowd and with Tita being there. So I guess not the first dunk, the second dunk camp because that's the one I went to, and just hang out with everyone and just being a nerd. Like I even wrote in my like it's so special to me that like I don't really write journals that much, but I was like I have to write down how I feel right now because it was like the best week of my life. I was like, this is the coolest thing of all time. So that whole first week of dunk camp that I got to experience was just unreal. So cool.
How many first dunks do you think you've assisted at the dunk?
Man, actually, I should try to count that. I'm sure I can get Corey to count that. That'd be so cool. That's another thing. All of those moments where I get people like their first dunk is the coolest thing of all time. Like that is the funnest feeling. I feel like I usually like freak out more than the actual athlete does because I just love dunking so much. It's like such a, I don't know, such a cool thing.
Yeah, definitely. So I know we talked about your training for a little bit, but how would you say like your training has changed over the years and like what have you learned about yourself and just jumping in general?
That's a good question. Um, I mean, at first, obviously, I was just dunking every single day and then resting and then dunking every single day and then resting. That really taught me how important jumping is, right? From a very young age, I understood that the best exercise to jump higher is jumping. Pretty simple, pretty obvious, but some people still happen to miss that. And also the importance of like not just some people think to jump train, you just gotta do like a bunch of jumps back to back, like all these pogo hops where you just do like let's say a freaking thousand calf raises in a night, or you do this or that. And it's like it's not the way to do it. Um, and then it changed to me just kind of like hitting the weight room. I had an understanding of the weight room, so I kind of just got strong and then also jumped. That brought me a lot higher. And then you get to a place where that gets more structure, and then I get to a place where I'm experimenting more. And I'm still I'm still experimenting a lot. There's actually a lot of stuff that I don't post because I'm not sure about it, right? So I'm experimenting with a lot of different exercises, a lot of different training methods, and I try to stay open so I can keep learning. But I don't know. It's funny how you try to stray away from what you know to try to learn more stuff, and you end up being sort of in the same spot. Not completely, like my training has changed a little bit, but the concepts have always stayed the same. You know, try to jump often, get strong, stay elastic. I work on my ground contact times, and like that alone will take you really far. And then what I'm mostly learning about, what has been changing a lot um, over the past little bit, is just what I do to try to stay injury free. That's like a whole thing in itself. It's like how far can I push myself without breaking myself, you know? So like the amount of plyos I do, for example, might fully depend on where my body is. My warm up might completely depend on how my body feels. Like if you watch me work out right now, more than ever, more than when I was younger, it's not always like, oh, I'm going in and I'm for sure doing this and this and this. Like I have an idea that that's what I want to do, but like I pay attention to my body. You'll see me think for a sec, especially in a warm up. You'll see me think for a sec. I'll move my body a bit. Okay, this is what my body needs. Okay, I go and do that. I just stop and think for a sec. I feel what my body needs, and then I go and do that. So I guess I've gotten a lot more intuitive with my body because it's kind of like an art of trying to push yourself as hard as you possibly can, but without injuring yourself. So if I were to like, let's say, write out a plan for myself, which I still do, but if I were to just stick to a plan that I wrote out fully, I might hurt myself. If I were to, yeah, so it's kind of like this interesting balance.
To go along with some with some lifting that you've been doing, obviously over the years, what have your numbers kind of looked like when you first started lifting to numbers now, if you can remember,
Uh,
obviously.
yeah, it's gonna be tough for me to remember. I only remember more recent stuff, but yeah, it's tough for me to remember when I first started because I did not keep track of that whatsoever. I remember getting in college like a deadlift of 345 or 335, I think it was. Yeah, 335. I remember being pumped about that. Uh, and then anyways, later on, I got to a point where, you know, when I was first doing stuff with Hoop Mixtape and like when I released Bounce Kid and all that stuff, I was uh squatting 3 plates and deadlifting 4 plates. I was pumped about that. Then later on down the lines, it was hard to keep my strength up because all the traveling I was doing all the time. Um, but I eventually got my deadlift back up to 505, and that was during COVID. And around that time, my squat was 365, so I got that up to. And now I weigh like 15 pounds less, but I squat 375. I'm sure I can squat more than that right now. I just haven't tried. Um, and then deadlift, I'm not even sure what that's at right now, but haven't been doing that quite as much.
Yeah, I know you when you were talking about kind of like your whatever you talked about elasticity and just like ground contact times. I know at Wisconsin you were telling me about like, trying to go like fast in your approach and stuff. So how important
Mhm.
would you say that is for dunkers?
I think it really depends on the dunker, but just in general, I kind of make it a rule, and I program this for people as well, is where I want them to do at least 5 jumps where they try to run into their approach and get off the ground quicker, like a little bit quicker than normal. Um, and yeah, just do at least 5 jumps like that, right? If you're trying to, especially do like a vert tech or trying to get good at height checks, if I want to train myself to be more like springy or elastic, I will do at least 5 jumps where I'm running into it quicker than it is comfortable and trying to get off the ground quicker than what feels comfortable. Not by like a whole lot, maybe like 20%, 10%, something like that. But all of a sudden you'll have these jumps that where the rhythm was off or the just the way everything was like contracting with like the chain was just like off just a little bit and you'll buckle and you didn't get like nearly as high. You lost like 3 inches. But then if you keep trying, you'll get like one that was actually like a pretty decent jump. And your body will like slowly learn the timing of the chain and when everything like contracts so that it's like perfect. So the rhythm is perfect. And you get like a nice jump with all that speed. So you're training your body to use all that speed and to get off the ground quicker. And that's important for training, right? Because what people don't realize with dunking is if you're doing a lob and then going after the ball, you're not doing actually 100% jump every single time, are you? You're doing like a maybe like a 95 or like a 90. But if you're doing like a height check, like I noticed that with me, if I'm doing like a dunk session, I could dunk forever. But if you have me do like vertec jumps, like that's 100% jump, and I get tired after that. I'm exhausted. Like my session will be cut like much shorter because of those jumps. You know, it's a lot tougher. So you have to train that. That's something you work on, right? So I think that's worth trying for some people instead of only doing dunking all the time. Like dedicate some jumps to just going all in and jumping as high as you can. Do a height check. Get the vertec out. Get the vert trainer out.
Yeah, I do think that like since you've told me that, I have literally just cued like quick, or like fast or whatever, and like, especially on like my
Hmm.
bad jumping days where I feel like sluggish, if I just like get a few where I just like literally just focus on going fast, I jump like way higher. And I just think it helps with like intent for a lot of people too that I've kind of
Yeah,
looked
yeah.
at their jumps.
So it helps with intent. It helps with like so with that aspect of training, but then it also helps you find the right coordination and the timing of when everything contracts like all the right times. It's just like the technique basically. It gets harder to get that down the faster you go. So it's a skill to develop that. So work on it.
Yeah. So I know we kind of talked about how your training has evolved for yourself, but obviously you've gone from bounce kit to jump master, and then obviously you got jump master X now. So how has kind of like your programs and training for other people evolved as well throughout the years?
Yeah, so I had bounce kit at first, and that was very much like you pay one time and you can do the training. And that worked for like a lot of people. A lot of people did that program. It was a lot of weightlifting, very triphasic, which still works for well for a lot of people. And then I jump master was kind of like the evolution of that. It was just like a lot more refined, a lot better at like keeping injuries at bay. Um, and it just made to help you jump even higher than that. I've learned a lot since, so it just became even better. Um, and also jump master is now something you pay like monthly. It's like what, $15 per month or $8 per month if you pay for the year, which is nice. I feel good to have something that's like that inexpensive for that high quality of a product just out there. Um, but then with Jump Master X, now I've teamed up with these guys. This is for people who are, you know, want to jump as high as humanly possible. They're like super serious about their goals. They want to take it to the next level. They don't want to follow like a cookie cutter program, and they want like something custom that's built for them. All right, so this is for people who are just like wildly serious about it and want to take it to the next level. And this one is also really fun for me because I get to I get to learn even more. As I'm writing these custom programs for people, I get to have people try things, report back to me how it's working for them, and then I can refine it. And it's helped me become an even better trainer, which has been like a lot of fun. And also a lot of fun when I get to implement everything I've learned and see it work so well for people. Like that's like the funnest thing.
Yeah, definitely. I know one that me and Hunter were super curious about is, first of all, how many dunks you have come up with, and then just kind of like what
Mm.
your process is for coming up with new dunks.
So we're at like 270 something. I don't know, something like that. We actually have them all. So we have an Instagram that has every single dunk on it, just so it was like our way to keep track, right? And over the years, sometimes we'll see that somebody does like one of the dunks and like before me, or like, oh, we never noticed this guy actually did the dunk before me. So we'll go back in that Instagram, and we like delete one of the dunks or whatever. So that's the way to keep track of everything. And then the way I come up with dunks, the easiest way ever is to just combine dunks, right? So 360 between the legs and off the backboard. Cool. Nobody's done that. Windmill and a Dwight Howard. Okay, so windmill, Dwight Howard, cool. Or you could reverse it. Dwight Howard tap, then to a windmill, right? You can like mess with the order and you can just put stuff together. New dunk. Voila. That's like the easiest way to do it, like the most obvious way to do it, just try to get creative about how to combine them. That's all. Like if you find like Dwight Howard tap dunk, okay, cool. Now attach Dwight Howard tap at the end of every single dunk you could think of. Or now try it at it at the beginning of every single dunk you could think of. Right. Just keep doing that kind of stuff. That's all. Now the hardest part is thinking of a completely new dunk, like a new variation altogether, like the lost and found, the hide and seek, the scorpion, um, the Kilganon thing where you jump and you spin first and then you catch the ball, that kind of stuff. And well, first off, the scorpion wasn't my idea. Um, that was other people. I was like T-Dub and stuff. I just edited it to be possible in 10. But with stuff like the hide and seek or the 360 lost and found, I mean, uh, I would just kind of sit there with the ball, and I do this often. Like I'll just sit there with the ball or without a ball and visualize putting a ball around my body. It almost looks like I'm doing like a stupid dance sometimes. And if you see me on the court where I'm like doing this and like moving my arms and whatever, like people will be like, "Oh, Jordan's trying to think of a new dunk right now." It's like, yeah. And I'll try to almost let my brain go blank at sometimes and just like move the ball around my body and see if I can come up with like an accidental thing. Because sometimes you come up with dunks like by accident, right? Like you see somebody move the ball weird and you're like, oh, but what if that's the dunk? I try to force that with myself, right? So I did this thing with the ball with me where I went like this and then threw it and then I went like that. I was like, maybe that could be a dunk, you know? So pretty much that simple for that. Um, or if you go to like a low rim, is what I'll do sometimes. Like I'll just go outside and again, just start moving. I almost am like in I guess in a bit of a flow state. I'm not really thinking too much. It's just happening, right? When you get into those creative states, you just keep moving and keep going. And usually the first 5 minutes is tough for me to think of many dunks. You know, I might come up with like three new dunks in 5 minutes. But then after 5 minutes happens, it's like every 10 seconds, new dunk, new dunk, new dunk, new dunk. Like they just keep pumping out. Um, yeah, and that process is a lot of fun for me.
So to go along with that, if you could remember, how many new dunks have you hit in a single session? And what was I gonna ask again? Yeah, I guess I just answer that one first. Kind of forgot my other question, but yeah, how many do you think you've hit in one session?
Like where I go for a new dunk and I make it that session,
Yeah,
almost all of them.
like in one session, like you count how many you've actually hit in one
Oh,
session. Yeah,
right. I see what you're saying. Okay, okay. Um,
like the most you've hit in one.
I think it was like 10 or something. I think it was 10. Yeah. I
So
think I have a video on it too. I think it was like
yeah, I was gonna say I'm pretty sure I've seen that.
11 or something like that, but I think one of them
Yeah,
actually had been done before and I didn't realize it, so maybe it's like 10 or something like that. Yeah.
it is 270 the number that you've hit on 10 feet.
Yeah, yeah, it's a bit over 270.
Okay, how many do you think you've done on like low rims?
Oh God, I don't know, dude. Um, that's a fantastic question. I will never
I
know
don't
that.
even know.
I will say that whenever I choose to be done like being so hardcore with like, dunking out regulation, I will be an old man going off on lower rims, and I can't wait for that day. I'm just gonna do so many like creative dunks. I'm super excited for that. Because right now it feels like a bit of a waste to do that because I'm not getting max effort intent jumps. So it's like a waste of my training. And I'd rather just go ahead and do a dunk on 10 feet, you know. So
Yeah, definitely. So I know you mentioned the All-Star like halftime thing or whatever that was. So just kind of tell us like how that opportunity like even came about and just how it went in general.
um I mean the NBA reached out to me. Um and I think Nils had something to do with that too, which is cool. But then they reached out to me and they asked me like later on after we are agreed I was going to do it. They're like, "Can you actually do your dunk in jeans?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." I mean, I'm not doing it between the legs or anything like that. I knew I was just doing a scorpion, so having jeans on would not affect it whatsoever. Maybe like 1%, whatever. And so that's how the jeans part came about. And yeah, they set it up to where there's all the trampoline dunkers, and then one guy came out on the trampolines and was planned to fail. He like did the went off trampoline and just went to dunk and just landed flat. And it was my turn to go out and be like, "Hey, move the trampolines," and then I would go do my own dunks. And then they revealed I was a pro dunker. Then I got to do my scorpion dunk, which was cool.
Yeah, definitely. So I know you are the most followed pro, I'm pretty sure, right? I mean, I don't think unless like maybe like Chen or something has got a billion over in China, but
Maybe, yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so obviously that means you've done quite a bit on social media. So what has been kind of like the main thing that's helped you, do well on social media throughout the years?
All right.
Might be
All
might be frozen. Uh
right, one sec. Can you repeat the question one more time? You're still cutting out for me.
yeah, sorry. I
Okay,
think
you're good now, I think.
yeah, I was just saying, how has social media kind of influenced your career and what have you kind of done to like do well on there?
Oh man. I mean, it's funny when I was super young and dunking, I just had somebody tell me social media is just a luxury. It doesn't really help you like make a living out of dunking. And now it's like fully the other way around. That's the only reason why I'm able to have as successful of a career as I do with dunking is because of social media. A lot of my income is also just people paying me to do sponsored posts, make money off YouTube. So a lot of my income is directly from social media. And then indirectly, the reason why I get hired for the events that I do or as much as I do is because people know my name more because of social media. So it's changed my life for sure. And if you're a dunker, that is like kind of a non-negotiable. You should learn to focus on that and how to like playing the game of getting your social media up and pay attention to views and like social media is a skill and it's a skill that I actually have more than the hours, which I think has helped me like a lot.
All right, we're back. But next question we got is what do you do during a dunk session, like the day of, and also during an event? So you can do the dunk session one first.
Yeah, so the day of, pretty much just try to be as relaxed as possible. I usually like to be up, I don't know, 5, 6 hours before my dunk session. If I dunk too early after I wake up, I'm usually not so great. Um, I usually have like red lentil pasta is what I'm usually eating, but some kind of carbs with a little bit of fat, a little bit of protein. And then I usually have like another small meal or like a snack-ish type thing, like a couple hours before I dunk. And then I go ahead and have my dunk session. And yeah, literally just chilling as much as possible. I might just like watch a show. I like my anime, so maybe I'll watch some anime. Maybe I'll get a few other things done, go about my day a bit, but I try not to like get my stress up too much, just kind of keep it fairly low. And I literally just get ready for my session. That's for all my other training days, I don't care so much, but for my dunking days, or maybe for a leg day too, if it's a big leg day, I try to keep my energy very low. Then when I'm done, pretty much just go home, do whatever else I have to do in the day, and get my protein in. That's that.
And then what do you do like for an event? So say you're crunching for time a little bit. I know some events you get flown out like almost a day before, if not that day, and then fly out pretty quickly too. So how does an event kind of work for you as well?
So if I'm doing an event overseas, I actually make sure that they fly me out like days before my event because I've done that in the past and where it's just like the day before or the day of, and my odds of jumping way lower, like go through the roof, just because I don't know how to balance that with when I'm supposed to fix my sleeping schedule for and all that. If the time zone is like 3 hour time difference, not a big deal. I'll probably still fly myself out one day extra than they would. For an event overseas, especially like China, if it's a really important event, I'll probably fly myself out like 4 days ahead of time. Even if the event is like we can't cover that, I'll be like, that's fine. I'll cover it myself. Especially if it's a contest, I want to make sure I'm in tip tip top shape and have best odds possible of winning or performing well. And if it's like a 3 hour time zone thing, I don't care that much. I might still fly myself out like 2 days ahead of time just in case. But um, in terms of what I'm doing the day of the event, it's literally the same thing, right? Same exact thing where I'm just trying to keep my energy like as low as possible. I'll watch like a chill show. I'll eat proper good food. Pretty much it. Maybe meditate a little bit, make sure I stay focused. I might also um do a little bit of ball handling. Like I'm not doing speed work whatsoever, but I'm just like I don't want to exhaust myself in any way, but I'll just play with the basketball, maybe throw it behind my back, maybe do a couple like the hide and seek scoop drills. Like just not too much though. Like I want to feel very fresh, but like just getting my body used to having the feel of the ball in my hands again, is usually a bit nice too.
Yeah. So I know something
Oh,
that
and sorry, I'll just say one more thing too.
I'll go for it.
I do like to just do movement in general, right? So I always say I like to move my spine in all three planes, right? So I'll just this way, this way, and this way. Uh, I'll do some squats, some lunges. So I'll just like move every joint in all the ranges as much as I can. Or sorry, not as much as I can, but just like a little bit, keep everything freshened up. Um, I don't like to just like fully lay down and just do absolutely nothing. Especially as you get older, you feel how like your joints will just stiffen up in those ranges. So I like to just move, get the body like pumping all the fluids like it's supposed to. So yeah, pretty much it.
Yeah. So I know something that a ton of people just like know about you or just the sport of dunking in general. Like the amount of people that like if they ask me like if I play basketball and I'm like, no, I just dunk. And they're like, what? And then I say like, oh yeah, like, Jordan Kilganon. They don't know who that is. Say blue hair guy. Chances are they know who it is. So obviously the blue hair thing has been huge. So what kind of like inspired that? And then how has it changed your career?
Yeah, that was a bit of a an accident, but I'm, a bit of a happy accident, I guess. So I remember I wanted to get dreads because my favorite dunker T-Dub had dreads, and I felt like he wears very baggy clothes and like these dreads too as he's dunking. Like it adds more movement and style to the dunk in the air, which I think is really cool. And I remember I was actually talking to Purdy, and I was like, "Man, I wish white people could get dreads because I had no idea, I didn't know anything about dreads." And then he's like, "Oh, you can just do it up." I was like, "Okay, sure." So I started like working towards it, like like my hair, top of my hair, like grow out. And as I did that, there's another white dunker at the time that's got dreads. I was like, "Oh, well, I don't want to look like I'm copying him too much, so I'll just get blue dreads, whatever." And so before I got my dreads at all. I got the blue in first, and like right before I was about to get my dreads, and that's when I did the Gary Payton video. So the Gary Payton video just like blew up like crazy, and I became known as the blue hair guy. And so from then on, it felt like a trademark of mine. I also did dunking with the blue dreads too. So, those two videos blew me up for sure. And now I'm happy about it because it's so much easier to remember the blue hair guy than it is to remember like Jordan Kilganon, that name. You know what I mean? Also, if I go to events, I get picked out really quickly because not only is it blue hair like my thing, is if somebody else, anybody has blue hair and they're walking on the street, you're more likely to notice them than everybody else who has brown hair. You know what I mean? So if I go to an event, um, it's good for the people that hire me too, because they see how much the crowd reacts when they see the guy with the blue hair. Because a lot of times, if I could have brown hair, I probably wouldn't get noticed as much. You know what I mean? If I'm walking on the street, if I have brown hair, I get noticed way, way, way less. Although I have noticed it's been increasing, which is interesting. But if I have blue hair, I get recognized like actually 10 times more. So it definitely helps to have the blue hair at events. People who hire me would prefer me to have blue hair at events. But yeah, I think it's just like a marketing thing at this point. I don't like having blue hair. I'd rather have just regular brown hair, but I feel like I've had to keep it up. But I might end up dyeing my hair probably one more time, and I don't know if I will again after that.
Yeah. So obviously you and Serious Player Only doing some cool things. So just kind of walk us through, quickly like your history with shoes and then obviously
Yeah.
what you got coming up here.
Yeah, so throughout my life, I've worn Adi Zeros when I was younger, like light shoes. They're very grippy shoes. Hurt my feet though. Uh, worn all sorts of Jordans. Then I wore LeBron 10s for a very long time just because the grip was like really good and they feel super bouncy just because the air zoom was like so feels like the PSI is like super high, so it just feels like bouncy. Um, maybe part of it too was just that like the heel was so high. It was like wearing a freaking high heel. The front of the shoe was like a normal shoe for the most part, but the heel was just so ridiculous. So if you stand and look at a rim, it looked lower to you because your eyes were literally close to the rim. You know what I mean? So it felt like bouncy, but mostly the grip was just pretty good. The issue with it though was that if I start running into it as fast as I can, because the heel was too high off the ground, it like I would almost slip and the grip wouldn't even catch the ground because I'm coming at such an angle, if that makes sense. So eventually switched to Jordan 29s, I think they are. And those are also pretty decent. The only problem was the grip was like an 8 out of 10. They also took like a month and a half to break it in to actually be decent grip. And I come in really fast and I like to spin really hard too. And so it was basically a 70% chance I'm slipping if I'm doing like a jump out of vert trainer or trying to do like a 720, which sucks. It means I just can't even really do those things properly. The amount of times where I was like, felt like it was going to be the perfect jump and I just slip instead. and it just ruins everything. Like that's awful. Like it's too bad. But anyways, so now ran into serious play only shoes. Um, and I was wearing one of their latest shoes and the game ones. And I love the way that they feel. They feel super bouncy. The only problem for me was they were pretty good grip, pretty solid, but same issue is that instead of like 70% of the time, it'd be like, I don't know, the amount of times I would slip with the game ones on a full approach jump would probably be like 30% of the time, right? So, but that's only like on a max approach jump, or like if I go all out to spin, maybe like 10%. So that was my issue with them, right? It's pretty perfect, almost there, but the grip was just a little bit better. It would have been like perfect. So anyways, I reached out to them after trying all sorts of other shoes. I've also tried wave weights recently. A lot of people have seen me like switch with all sorts of shoes to find like what the best shoe is for me. And I've spent a lot of money doing this because I wasn't reaching out to companies. I wasn't like Serious Play only didn't send me their shoes. Wave didn't send me those shoes. Jordan wasn't sending me those shoes or Nike. I was buying all these shoes, all sorts of different shoes, and just trying them out. And eventually got to a place where I was like, hey, well, Serious Play Only is my favorite one so far. And they did tell me that they were working on a shoe on like that is like the one that is my favorite, the game ones, except with better grip and like a better performance. So I was like, okay, cool. Let's reach out to these guys since they have my favorite shoe. And I was like, let's work on something. I feel like they're a company that is like earlier in and like willing to like try things and like um and for me I felt like people usually want two things from me. They want to know how I jump higher and what shoes I'm wearing. So it just felt like a no-brainer to connect with a shoe company. So anyways, they had me try their Gen 1 lows, like their first ever sample. And I just so happened to be their testing size. So like their first ever shoe that they made, I'm that size, which is good, 10 and a half. Try them out, and I was like, this is insane. Like this is the it's so funny. When I was telling them this, they felt like I was lying to them because they felt like I was just trying to like pump their tires and like, I don't know, trying to get a sponsorship out of them or something. Because I was like, this is literally the best shoe I've ever worn in my life. Like this is my favorite shoe I've ever owned. And they're like, are you sure? Like you're not just saying this? I'm like, no, I'm dead serious, bro. And so yeah, this is basically like the Game One Low, just lighter, a lot lighter. Um, I'm sorry, the shoe is called the Game One Low. It's exactly like the not exactly, but a lot like the Game One, but lighter, and the grip is like a 10 out of 10. So even times I went to courts where some people were like, "Don't you hate going to this court? It's so dusty or it's so slippery." And you know what I can say now? I could say it doesn't matter. My shoes are like amazing. They have amazing grip. Before it's like I'm doomed. I have a court that's a bit slippery. I'm completely screwed. Doesn't matter what shoe I have because I come in so fast that I'm just doomed. And now I have a shoe that's just good with all of that and is bouncy and is lighter than the my other favorite shoe. So very happy with where we're at so far. I'm going to be coming out with my own colorway and the Game on Lows. I don't know if I could say the date yet, but we have an approximate date. So and soon enough they'll be coming out. And I'm kind of sad that they're not in right now. They're supposed to be in today, but it'll be in 2 more days. But I'm gonna have like my actual colorway of shoe with me like in 2 days. I'm so excited, dude. I can't wait. Uh, so yeah, look out for that.
Yeah, it's super cool. Go ahead, Hunter.
Big rant there, but yeah, that's my story with them.
So going along back with a bunch of the dunking stuff, what do you think in your mind has been your top five dunks on 10 feet that you've hit so far?
You can
Yeah, good
go.
question.
You can go no particular order.
Yeah, just five dunks basically. Whatever order you want, does not matter.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna give you. Is it okay if some of these are like the top, but like also just like kind of like my favorites, if that makes
Yeah,
sense,
yeah, that's
instead of
fine.
just being like rank number one to
Yeah.
whatever. So I'll put. I think my favorites. One is for sure the reverse 540 Scorpion. I love that one still. I should redo that soon because that was freaking sweet. Lost and found, like the 360 lost and found. I feel like that has to be in there. That was such a big deal at the time and for me. Um, let's see. Oh, when I did the 360 between the legs over someone, like the Kilganon way or whatever, where somebody holds it and I spin first, and it's like kind of like a blind 360 East Bay over someone. That one was sweet. Um, what else? I This is not in the top five whatsoever, but it's like one of my favorites to do. It's just like my 540s recently. I love the way that they look so much and they feel so awesome to do. And I just feel like I really got them down now. So there's that. And what else? Maybe something like the roundhouse dunk that I did is kind of interesting.
I was just gonna say that, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, it's so
roundhouse
sick.
dunk might be cool. Um, yeah, yeah. That
No
roundhouse, I'm
kamikaze.
not sure about that. Oh, that was the other one. 360 kamikaze. Yeah, that's right.
Like,
I completely forgot about that.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
funny.
No, for sure. That was in top five. Yeah.
Yeah. So just to kind of wrap it up, what are some of the goals you have, for yourself, whether it be dunks, weight room, business stuff, whatever, and then what are some of the goals you have just for the goal or for the sport of dunking in general?
So, well, my main goals are secret. You can't know that. But I definitely obviously want to test like an official 50. That'd be nice. I got to do that before I'm done. Um, in terms of dunks that I want to do, there's like still a bajillion that I want to do, but I'm mostly going after some big ones right now. Um, the weight room would be cool for me to get like, you know, a four plate squat would be nice. But again, the goal isn't a four plate squat. The goal is to jump higher. So, you know, I could have went for a max four plate squat probably right now, but that's not worth it because I'd rather jump high, you know? Business wise, I mean, I would just love to grow my clothing. That'd be really cool. I have some new products coming out for dunking, which nobody knows about, which is really cool. Excited for that. More products for dunkers kind of thing, which is I just do it because I think it's fun. I think it's cool. So get that as big as possible. Jump Master X, and Jump Master. Would love to keep going on that and make that as big as possible to the point where like I don't know, we can affect like a lot of people and train some really cool people. I think it's is awesome. Um, for me, I don't know. I'm just gonna keep doing this. I'm just gonna keep having fun. I'm here to have a good time. You know, I obviously take this. That makes it sound like I don't take it serious, but I take it like wildly serious, and I will for like quite a long time still. I'll probably be in the dunk game, doing events and doing dunks. I wouldn't even doubt if I'll still be a pro dunker at 45. I love this. I love taking care of my body, so I think I'll last like quite as long as I want to, really. Um, But yeah, I am also excited for a point where in my life where I'm content with what I've done with dunking to where I can back off and not give dunking my 100%. Dunking will get like let's say 95% of my effort or 90, which is a big difference. That means I can go on a vacation and not dunk for like 5 days. That's which is unheard of for me, or like not dunk for like a week, where I'll be okay with settling with just jumping at some outside somewhere instead of has to be like at a 10-foot hoop or something like that. And then for the sport of dunking itself, I just want to keep growing it. I just want to, the idea has always been to inspire people. That seems kind of just like abstract. It's a thing. And I remember when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, like one of the reasons why I dunk is just it's I want to make other people feel the way my dad made me feel, right? Which is like I can do anything. And my dad maybe inspired me so much. And if I can bring that kind of thing to other people by example, which is what he did with me, with backing it up with action, I think that is really cool. If I can help make dunking bigger with things like the WDA or pushing it any kind of way that I can, whether it's with dunk camp or anything. I will be around for a long time, so I would love to bring it to more people because I think it's a fun sport, and I think more people would like it if they got into it, and be part of this community. I don't know, I think it'd be cool. Trying to think
And
of any other goals. Outside of that, I have non-dunking goals that like other hobbies I would like to do when I'm done dunking, when I'm done taking it 100% serious, like making music and other stuff like that, but that's about it.
so I have one more question for you. For
Mm.
people that like want to get into the dunk community or that are trying to post but like aren't getting views or whatever, or just wants to get into it in general, what would you say to them? Like, what advice would you give somebody else that would be either listening to this podcast or just in general about the sport of dunking?
That's a good question. I mean, if you're looking to get into the community, I think it's pretty easy, right? I think you can just DM whoever and make like easy friends. That's what Travis did. Travis just annoyed everybody. Travis is right here. He's giving me the thumbs up right now. Um, yeah, he hit me up like a long time ago. He was commenting on all my videos all the time. What was it you're commenting? Oh yeah, he would comment first comment on everything. And that made it so we end up talking. It could be that simple sometimes. Just like reach out to people. Don't be scared. Um, there's a whole community here. If you feel like you're excluded, even though you're posting videos and you're trying to post videos to get people's attention, just don't be shy to just reach out, man. Um, just make friends, be friendly, make friends. And yeah, there's people out here to support you and to like you be a part of. And I think that's something special. Especially nowadays where people can sometimes isolate themselves a little bit. I think it'd be a good thing for more people to reach out and to try to be part of something.
Yeah, that's great, man. Well, again, just seriously, thank you so much for hopping on. It was great talking to you. Pretty sure that every single person that is watching this probably already follows you based on our numbers versus yours. But if you guys haven't, make sure you go follow Kilganon on everything, obviously. And yeah, that wraps it up, guys.
All
Thank you
right.
for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace out.
Peace.